Hi, welcome to the video. My name's Jay, and today we're going to be installing a modern double-din style radio into this Jeep LJ. So the stereo that I chose for this install is the Sony AX1000. I chose this stereo because it features Apple CarPlay. It is wired Apple CarPlay though, so you have to plug in via USB right here to access it. This radio is not compatible with Android Auto, so if you have an Android, you're not going to be able to actually use the functionality of it. However, this does still have Bluetooth, so if you want to connect via Bluetooth, you can still use your Android. It's just not going to have all the same features. And probably the biggest reason why I chose this radio is for this specific knob right here. I cannot stand radios that don't have volume knobs. That's just my personal preference. This radio is also a bit deceiving because it appears as a double DIN radio, but it's actually a single DIN radio with a double DIN face. So this might help us out for installation because there is a bracket inside that if you have a full-on double DIN sized back to your radio, you absolutely have to cut it inside the Jeeps. There's a chance that I might not have to. Either way, if you have a full-sized double DIN radio, I will still show you what you need to cut when we get there. And also there's a chance I might need to cut it anyway, so we'll see. On the back of the radio here, we have our connection for your antenna. We have 4 RCA outs if you want to run those to an amplifier, and then we have a sub out if you want to run that to an amplifier. Right here we have a connection for a backup camera. This red one right here is for the microphone that comes with the stereo. This blue one right here is if you have a wired remote that you want to use. This stereo actually comes with a wireless remote control. I don't really know why you need a remote in your car, but hey, we got one. This right here I believe is for satellite radio, and then this is going to be the connection right here that we're going to put along with the fuse, and that's it for the back. I almost forgot this radio does come with its own wired microphone, and it also comes with some mounting screws right here, 4 of them. So the radios that come inside of Jeep TJs and LJs are 1.5 DIN sized radios, so double DIN radios won't fit in the same spot. So what you need to get is a new dash that will accommodate the double DIN sized radio. So we're going to be removing this whole center dash section and replacing it with that other one to make it all fit. So these dashes are pretty easy to find. You can get them on Amazon. They're probably about 60 or 70 bucks. I forget exactly how much this one costs, but there are some differences. If you have a 1997 through 2002 Jeep, this section is shaped a little bit different. This is a 2006. If you have a 2003 through 2006 Jeep, this is the one you're going to want to get. So just pay attention when you go to order yours that you get the correct year, because not only is that different, but this particular dash actually came with an adapter for your stereo to wire into, and this is going to be shaped a little bit different for those 97 to 02 Jeeps, so just make sure you're choosing the right one. This also came with some mounting brackets for the radio. It came with the antenna adapter, and it came with some clips that I'm not 100% sure what they're going to be for yet, but we're going to find out when we get there. So these are some of the tools I have out right now. We might end up needing some more in a bit, but I've got some wire strippers, these to crimp the little connectors, which are going to be these right here. I've got a bunch of these. Here's some heat shrink tubing. I've got this little butane torch. These are actually bicycle tire changers. I'm going to use these as panel pullers and see if they work. If not, I'll just use screwdrivers. If you have panel pullers, use those. Especially when we're talking about 20-year-old vehicles, you're a lot more likely to bust the parts of your dash if you're not careful. I've got my Dremel out just in case we have to cut that part inside the dash, and I've got a drill just so I don't have to do any manual labor. So here's what we're going to have to wire up. This is the one that came with the radio. It's the one that plugs into the back of the radio. This is the adapter that came with the dash. Not all of these dashes come with this adapter. There's a chance that you might have to buy it separately, but you are going to need this unless you actually want to cut into the wiring harness of the Jeep, which I do not recommend. This is so much easier and safer, especially like if you ever take it out one day, you can still have that original connection inside the Jeep. Just pay attention to whether or not your dash is going to come with this or not, and make sure you get one. All right, so I know this looks like a lot, but it's actually a lot easier than you think. Let me show you. So it pretty much breaks down like this. We have speakers, power cables, and some extras. We've got a pair of whites, a pair of purple, a pair of gray, and a pair of greens. One of each is solid and one of each is striped. These are your speakers. So already half of this harness is gone. And right here we have yellow, which is power, black, which is ground. This orange one is for illumination for your stereo. And this red one is the ACC that basically sends a signal to your stereo to let you know when to turn it on. So this purple one, it says reverse in on it, is actually if you have a backup camera, which I don't have yet, but I will install one at some point. But if you have a backup camera, what you do is you connect this to your reverse lights so that when you put your car in reverse, it sends a signal through this cable to let the stereo know when to activate the rear view camera. This blue one says REM on it. This is for if you have either a powered antenna or more than likely if you're running it to a subwoofer. If you're gonna run a subwoofer, you would connect this to your amplifier because just like your stereo needs to know when to turn on when you turn your key on, your amp also needs to know when to turn on. So on your amplifier, you're gonna have a power, a ground, and then right next to it, you're gonna have a place to plug this in so that it knows when to turn on. Lastly, I have this big long green cable right here. It says parking brake. And this you're supposed to connect to your parking brake so that when you pull your parking brake, certain features will become available on your stereo. However, I've heard that some people don't even bother connecting this and they have no problems. Also, I've heard that some people choose to actually ground it to the stereo and all those features become available. I'm gonna be kind of lazy and not connect it and just see what happens. And I'll let you know. And if it turns out that I need to plug it in, then I'll plug it in. Or if it turns out that grounding it is the right option, I'll ground it. Honestly, I'm going for the path of least resistance here, so that's what I'm gonna do. So then we move on to the harness adapter, and we've got a whole bunch of more wires that seem overwhelming, but they actually correspond directly to the harness for the radio. So just like on the harness for the radio, we have the green, the pair of greens, the pair of gray, the pair of whites, and the pair of purples. Those are all the speakers. So just like that, half of this harness is already gone too. We have those same yellow cables right here. This is for your power. We have some black cables right here for ground. We have that red cable right here for ACC. This is again to let your stereo know when to turn on. We have that orange cable right here for illumination. We have that blue cable. This one would be the one for the amp. You actually, I don't believe you have to connect these together. I think you're supposed to choose to run one or the other to your amplifier so that it knows when to turn on. And then this mystery brown cable right here, I had to dig and figure out what the heck is this one for. Apparently it's a spare. Or at least from everything that I could find, it's a spare. So we're gonna not worry about this brown cable and hope that there's no problems. Really quick, on this harness, there's 2 yellows and 2 grounds. They're just duplicates. You can just choose to use one or the other, and then you're gonna have a couple of extras here. But that's all it is. You don't need to worry that there's 2 of them. You're just gonna connect to one of each. So I'm gonna start stripping these wires and start connecting them together, putting some heat shrink on it and whatnot. And then we'll start taking the Jeep apart. Alright, now that we've got our harnesses ready to go, you're probably all excited and just want to rip some stuff out so you can put it in. But if you have a radio that has CDs or the possibility of putting CDs in it, take them out. So I got to go through right now and take out all my Michelle Branch and Taylor Swift CDs, make sure I can save those for later, and then we can be on our way. It's been kind of funny driving this Jeep around because I had to bust out all my old CDs from high school. I was like this close to start bleaching the tips of my hair again. Man, I may have dated myself a little bit right there. Before we start doing anything else, what I'm going to do first is disconnect one of the terminals on the battery. That way we don't kill ourselves while we're doing this. So I'm going to do that next. Alright, so I'm going to start by taking out this top dash cover here. I'm going to use my bicycle tire panel puller right here. See if it works. If not, I'll try a screwdriver or something. You pretty much just have to pry it out. Be careful as you do so, because if you've got a Jeep like this, you're probably looking at least a 20-year-old panel, so be careful. got it. All right, and the next thing is there's a couple screws back here that hold the dash on. There's one here, one here. This is ready to come out. So it's got some clips in here that hold it. I'm pretty sure we can just, you know, gently remove it. Oh, where's my bicycle tire puller at? Huh. Coins falling out of here and stuff. There we go. All right, so the stereo's almost ready to come out. There's only 4 screws that hold it in, bolts right here, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4. But there's another one that's actually behind the stereo. In order to get to it, we got to take this off. Alright, so this is one of those things I can't really show you. There's no way you could possibly see where this bolt is. You're just going to have to feel it for yourself. But it does seem to be a 10mm, so, and unfortunately I don't have a ratcheting wrench, so I'm just going like little turn by turn, trying to get this thing out of here. Oh, of course I dropped it. Oh, I got it. It's all full of crust. There it is. Alright, so now I can take out these ones in the front, and this thing should just come right out. Oh, here we go. There we go. 1 and 2. Cool. And just so you have an idea where that nut that was on the back of the radio is, it's this right here. Oh, it goes like that. So it's on this lower left-hand part of the stereo. So you don't have to reach too far, but that's where it is. All right, so here's a moment of truth. If these little brackets fit inside of there without touching anything, then I don't have to cut this piece. If they don't fit, then I have to trim this piece on the inside. Let's find out. So this is a piece I'm talking about. This whole piece of plastic that goes all the way around here. If the radio doesn't fit, this whole thing has to get cut out. And for sure, if you use a full-size double-din radio, you have to completely cut this out. Super sick. So I got it lined up with those holes, and it's not really touching. I think I'm gonna be all right. I'm not gonna cut this out. I'm gonna attempt to put it in here without cutting it out. If it gets in the way, then you're gonna see me cut this thing out. If you use a full-size double-din radio, you're just gonna take that whole thing out right there. All right, and before actually connecting anything, I'm gonna do some test fitting. So these things pretty much just go on the side of your stereo, and you're probably gonna have to play around with it because you're trying to get it to sit flush in there. And so as you can see, there's some wiggle room to be moved back and forth. And so you might have to loosen and adjust this a couple times until you get it to sit perfectly flush. So it's trial and error with this one. Okay, so I think I've got it pretty close. But what I try to do is line it up until this is relatively flush with these AC controls here. When I first put it in, it was set back a little bit farther. So I just moved it out until it's more flush with this guy here. So hopefully, since these are flush together, it'll fit good when I put the dash back in. And if not, then I'll try to take it back out again and maneuver it until it's flush. But in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and start connecting the stuff in the back. We can also test it. That would probably be a good idea. We should test it. All right, I was just getting ready to connect all my stuff here. There's no problems, but what I did see, this metal thing right here, that was that safety feature that held onto the back of the radio, but I don't really need it anymore. So I think I'm gonna remove it just so I can have some extra space back there. There's 2 screws. There's one here and one on the other side over here. So I'm gonna unscrew them and take that thing out just so I can have some more space. All right, so now it's time to connect our little antenna adapter and our little harness that we made that's gonna plug into this factory clip right here. Before I go any farther, I want to make sure it works. So I want to reconnect the battery and we're going to test this thing out. All right, it's the moment of truth. Am I smart? Don't answer that question. Hey, check that out. All right. Obviously it works, but we still got to finalize all this stuff. I got to put the dash back in. We got to switch out those air vents from the old dash into the new one. I'll show you how to do that real quick. So we got to get these air vents out. The way you do that is if you look at the back of them here, you can see that they push forward. Pretty much just going to push them straight out. All right, and the process is the exact opposite. I'm going to push them in from the front to get them into this thing here. You can go like this. It goes right in. There we go. I also realized why this dash came with these little clips. It's because those are what secure it to the little dash here. All right, let's try to get these screws back in here. As you can see right now, this is recessed too much. The stereo's way back there. So I got to pull this thing back out, unscrew it, and move those brackets way farther back. You can see how much space this thing can come forward, and I would like to get it flush as possible, so I'm gonna move it as much as I can. See what it looks like. The radio is a lot more flush this time around. Still not perfect, but that was literally the farthest I could move it forward. I guess I could drill some holes or recess it a little bit more to get it farther out, but it's pretty close, so I'm gonna leave it like that. Now, just gotta put the screws back on the top up here, put the dash panel back on, and we'll turn this thing on and let you see a couple of things it can do. So, this is touchscreen. It looks pretty old school, but it is touchscreen. You got the tuner, Sirius XM if you want to plug that in. That was one of the things you could also plug in from the back. Standard Bluetooth. You got your phone here. This is USB. Here's your USB right here. This is also where we can plug in for CarPlay. Over here we have our aux. There's a little aux insert right here. This is a rear view camera. Once you plug it in, you can access it from here. Otherwise, when you put your vehicle in reverse, it'll just automatically come up on the screen. And then you got your settings right here, general, sound. We also have an EQ right here that you can tinker around with. Subwoofer controls here. And then we got CarPlay. So if we open this up here and plug this in, there it goes. Phone's already in CarPlay. You can access your maps, Spotify, your phone. This one was a big one for me. If you're into off-roading, Onyx Off-Road, there it is, all working. This is pretty cool. And you go back to the home screen, see a little Apple CarPlay feature here that you can just click and go right back to it. By the way, this is a home button here. It's also an attenuator if you hold it. So if you hold it down, it'll attenuate your signal all the way down to 0, and then you can unmute it like that. Pretty cool radio. I'm excited to get some use out of it and be able to stream instead of using my high school CDs. I'm just gonna clean everything up here and put it away. But as far as audio goes, I did notice that this stereo does seem to have more power than the original factory head unit. So even just turning up the volume a little bit, it was already louder. Sound quality is kind of hard to say because these are still the stock speakers in this Jeep, and I mean, if you've got one of these Jeeps, you know they're not known for the speakers, so I can't really give you a good assessment on if it makes anything sound better. Honestly, most of these head units are probably going to be pretty similar, but one thing's for sure, I mean, the ability to connect a subwoofer later, which I plan to do one of those really thin, like under seat style subwoofers, see how good it works. But the ability to even connect something to this radio where you couldn't have done that with the factory one is a big plus. Anyway, again, I hope that this helped you, and thanks for watching. I just realized that I did all that and I completely forgot to install the microphone. It's gonna have to wait for another time.